Happy New Year!
It's 2024. It's unbelievable, guys. I love it. Guys, thank you so much for joining us for Market of the Moment. We appreciate our friends being here with us every single week in 2023. We're doing it again for 2024.
Let's go.
As always, I'm Sharon Terhune, the Vice President and Sales Manager. I almost forgot who the heck I was. That's good.
Well, still you. Name tag's not necessary.
It's all good. Name tag. Anyway, with Fidelity National Title, I'm here with Don Tchaikovsky, our Director of Channel Sales at Fidelity. Don.
Yes.
There's 3 people here.
I know, right?
Who's joining us
well,
right now?
We are so fortunate today to be joined by Mr. Zack Kepes. Zack Ventures, right? That's our
Sounds good.
Instagram and all that. Yes. So
something like that.
Yeah. So I have had the pleasure of knowing Zack. We met a couple years ago, right? At a Christmas party, I think, or something. I don't know. We met somewhere, and you were speaking at an event. Yes, Rafael Cortez's office. That's correct. Yes. And so Zack is an investor here in the Valley, and he buys and holds. I mean, you do other things as well, but you know, he accumulates properties and manages them. It's a great content on Instagram. If you don't follow Zack currently, you'll definitely want to do that because he walks through a lot of the houses and the projects he's working on. So thank you so much for joining us, sir.
Yes,
thank you for having me. It's nice to be rekindled. We had an episode before. I had a great time. Love your energy. Love your company. I wouldn't drive an hour and a half round trip if it wasn't worth it, especially for the big bucks.
Yeah, we appreciate it. We appreciate your time.
It's good to be here.
And we know you're busy. You were on phones until we started going.
It's all good.
Yeah. So
I do have a little gift for you before you leave. So a little belated Christmas gift.
Thank you.
Yeah, we're bringing presents. It's good.
Little presents.
Yes. All right. So Zack, can you tell us a little bit about let's start off with what you do, what your business looks like, and then love to hear about your 2023, and then what you see for 2024.
Love it.
Super long question there.
I'm excited. Again, thank you for allowing me the opportunity and the platform to be here. Love you guys. My business is primarily buy and hold. I buy distressed assets, mostly from wholesalers, agents, title companies, referral business. Been doing this over 20 years, accumulated just shy of 300 single-family homes, vertically integrated, so we manage them ourselves. And then I do fix and flips. You know, we build some spec properties, but mostly we take the trash to cash model, these horrific homes that are disgusting. We beautify them, we stabilize them, we rent them out, and playing the long game. I'm very bullish about Arizona specifically. We only buy Arizona. And I'm playing the long game. It's about the deferred gratification. It's about, you know, going the marathon, not playing the sprint game. And I'm very optimistic about this year with hopefully some rate cuts and, you know, optimism and, you know, elections and just a lot that's going to transpire this year that I think will be beneficial for us locally.
Love it. That is awesome.
Your lips to the universe.
Yes, there you go. Yeah. So so through 2023, what did that market look like for you as far as your own purchases? And so what do we think? What do you think? And obviously, you told us that you're bullish for next year. So so did you back off of 2023 as rates got higher? How did that impact you?
So it's interesting. A lot of my competition is with hedge funds and REITs and that type of institutional investors. If they pulled out of the market because the cost of capital got high, it actually provided me a great opportunity with less competition to continue to buy. So I always keep my foot on the pedal no matter the market conditions because, again, I'm playing the long-term game. So I do a model called dollar cost averaging. If prices go up, it's okay. I'm still always buying with equity, and I'm also gaining appreciation on my existing assets. But again, it's always buying at the right price. So if you buy consistently through the long term, you're going to end up owning an average, a mid-basis across your portfolio. So it's a dollar cost averaging game. I consistently buy. I want to keep my crews busy. Again, long term, I believe prices will rise. Obviously, with rates, the market's been a little stagnant. I wasn't selling much into the market. So on paper, I may have lost money in terms of valuation short term. But again, I think we recoup that once rates drop and the demand will continue to be there in terms of, you know, end users buying. But I'm not interested in selling. Again, I'm happy to hold these long term. Cap rates and yields obviously went down because prices did go up overall. But again, so if you're breaking even based on cost of capital, but you have good equity in there, I play the long game. So if I stabilize the asset and even I'm breaking even, losing a few $100s per month per property, I believe that gets recaptured this year when prices will rise.
Back up,
so that's kind of my long-term strategy, my midterm strategy.
How is the rental pricing going?
Rentals pricing is solid. I think that, you know, if you deliver a quality product, you've got a good reputation, you respond to your tenants, you don't treat them like an annuity of income, you get good people that are willing to pay you good rental income. You know?
That's great.
So when it comes to finding properties, right? So, all right. So, are you open to buy right now?
I
If somebody
literally
has an
bought a
opportunity
home.
for you.
Never stopped.
You heard me on the phone before. Did we get this deal? This is real stuff. Yes, I bought one today in Sun City. I did a live on the Instagram today. It was a time warp. It was a 1-bed, 1-bath for $155,000 in Sun City.
That is
Yeah.
a time
Yeah.
warp.
So if somebody wants to sell you a house,
Yeah.
then do you buy from agents? Do you buy from who? If somebody has something like, I need a cash offer on this, or it's a house that's going to need some attention.
Yep.
Are you somebody that they would be able to reach out to? And,
Absolutely.
Okay.
I mean, I could put my number on here. I could put my Instagram, the 602-405-9225. If it's an emergency, 911. That'll get you past the response. But you can call me direct. I would love to buy from you. If you're an
Just ask
agent,
for
you
Zack.
get the double commissions, or Don, or it's all good. But yes, I buy from anybody. It doesn't matter, direct to seller or agent or a wholesaler. It doesn't matter where the deal comes from. It just matters where that deal ends up, and making sure that you're going to get a solid cash buyer that's not going to retrade or delay a close or waiting for contingency of capital. The money's always there. Once I put my stamp on the contract or DocuSign or write it out, it's a done deal.
Excellent.
Great.
Love that. So when you joined us, gosh, it's probably been a little over a year ago since you joined us the first time. So you told us a little bit about your history and how you got started in this business. Can you kind of give us a little recap on that?
Yeah. Came out to Arizona in 2002. I had cousins that were buying distressed assets in the Midwest and St. Louis. They provided the capital early on in the career. We were the human capital out here. And then we actually had a company called 1-800-NO-AGENT where people could call direct to seller. We did TV advertising. We networked with agents. There wasn't a lot of these events, which is interesting how this market has transpired.
Yes.
And Instagram wasn't there, so
Right.
maybe some
There was
Facebook.
no socials.
It's so interesting now how the community has gotten so much closer in terms of proximity due to events and engagements in these networks.
Yeah.
When we were there, it was old school. You're going to a radio show, or you're driving into a real estate office and saying, "Hi, I'm a cash buyer. Who are you?" Shake the hand.
Yep.
I'm an old school guy, right? Like,
Yeah,
I like to
me
meet
too.
people face to face. I FaceTime people. So that same methodology still comes into play today. This business is not, it changed in terms of social media,
Right.
but the relationships, the cultivation, the interactions, that's the most important part of this business,
So important. And I think people still need that human contact and
They
feeling,
need it for sure.
feeling that.
Yeah. So I started buying, leveraging those connections, and then you build a good reputation. If you service people well, you're honorable, you're transparent in your actions, you're not screwing anyone around, you do everything above board. I'm licensed, which I think is critical as well. Saves money on both sides of transactions if you're buying on the MLS or when you're selling, it helps. And so you just proceed forward. I've been consistently buying for 20 plus years.
Yeah, that's amazing. And so you said just shy of 300 properties right now
Correct.
that you're managing? Yeah. And then how do you determine whether you're going to buy something and hold it or do a fix and flip with it?
So typically everything that I buy will require some level of repairs, right?
Okay.
So whether it's just paint and carpet, every house needs, I don't care what it looks like, at least $5,000
Something.
on the bare minimum. Most of the stuff I buy needs full surgery, right? We're not doing like a small Band-Aid. I like to say spend the money to make the money. Spend the money to make the money. Most people want to do the bare minimum. We do the maximum because I believe we want to own it and retain it long term. So we're not going back to service all these Band-Aids that keep falling off. We do the full stitches in the forefront, and I think that will bode very well for your long-term whole business. Most of the stuff that I determine whether I'm going to hold it or sell it is based on price point. Typically, there's an inverse relationship between pricing. What I mean by that in terms of rental yield and pricing. So if you buy something north of $500,000, most likely you'll probably want to sell it because you're not going to get the appropriate rental yield the higher the price point. Now, all of a sudden over, let's say, $1.5 million or $2 million, those are anomaly, right? Most people are going to speculate on that.
Right.
But my general holdings are about $450,000 and under because then you get the appropriate return based on those priced assets. Once you go over that, let's say you have a $600,000 house and it rents for $3,000, it's a terrible return in today's environment because you can almost get $3,000 for a home that's $450,000. So why would you deploy money north of that and get a lower return? You wouldn't.
Right.
So you'd want to dispose of the higher priced midterm assets, flip those, take that cash and reinvest into the lower income starter home type properties that are affordable.
Yeah, so I love that. So really, the fact is that you're going to take a look at those things that you're going to see that right yield on from, and I love the way you just explained about the rent on the 600 versus the 400 and the 450. That just makes sense. It's easy math right there, right? So, the fact of the matter is that when you're looking at a property, you're open to any property.
Of course.
It's the right deal,
Right.
right?
Mm-hmm.
And
Whether ideally you want to dual exit, right? I'm a contingency mindset type of person. So if you go into the strategy thinking it only works as a flip, right? You buy a $700,000 home, you put $100,000 into it, and you're going to sell it for $1 million. That would work, right? You're going to make, 15-20% return. That's great. But however, what happens if COVID comes out again? What happens if interest rates got bumped? What happens if there's an invasion of a war? You always have to play the what if all these things happen.
Right.
How do you pivot out of an $800,000 home? You go into a rental and that home's going to rent for $4,000. Again, that's a terrible. I don't care if you have the cheapest cost of capital right now. Let's call it 5.5 or 6%. It doesn't cash flow. You're going to lose your shirt on that.
Right.
So ideally, I want to buy and have assets that will work for multiple exit strategies. If you do that and play that, contingency mindset game, you'll always be successful.
It's so smart.
Mitigate the risk.
How much do you have to when you do buy? Like you mentioned that you put some money into it. Obviously, do you do less because someone's going to come in and just be renting, or do you do the? I know you mentioned, that you do more because you're holding long term. But what does that look like? Is it carpeting? Is it paint?
Right.
Or is it like extreme? Like it needs cabinets. It needs
Extreme.
Okay.
I believe that.
Okay.
I plan on, so I buy in 4 factors. I call them my 4 pillars of success. One, if I don't want this to be a legacy home, something that I want to own long term, I'm not going to buy it, right? So if I'm playing that contingency mindset to pivot and adapt, and it doesn't fit that legacy mindset to, right now I don't have kids, maybe one day, God willing, great. If I have, sperm like this guy, it could be great, we'll see. But ideally, it'd be a legacy.
Oh,
maybe
we are
like
so
that.
putting
You
that
keep it
one
in.
on.
Right?
That
How many
part.
that's
kids
going to
do
be my
these?
highlight. Yeah,
That should be the
I got
highlight.
one. I got one. That's
Okay,
just
so
one.
good
Yeah,
swimmers.
Yeah.
But if I don't want my dogs
I
to
have
own
4
it,
kids. You could have said
there
one.
you go.
Yeah.
There we go. Legacy mindset number 1, owning it long term and having fun with the asset, very
I
important.
love it.
I want to own it long term. Number 2, what is my rental yield, right? So if I put it in today's market, I believe rents long term will increase, but in today's numbers, does that give me an 8, 9, or 10% yield? Really, really important. In addition, after I buy that asset and I stabilize it through repairs and enhancements, what type of equity do I have after I stabilize it? It's really important to have 15 to 20% equity. Otherwise, you're not going to make any money. You're overpaying for the asset. And then lastly, can I buy the asset less than replacement costs? Because a lot of times no one's talking about that. If you can buy an asset less than it costs to build it, you already have that intrinsic value, that immediate value that's really, really important in terms of mitigating inflation, which is really high right now.
Well, and I'd imagine with you going extreme on what you're doing, it also helps you get the better folks that are stay long term in there because it's a beautiful house. They want to live there as if they bought it, but they're renting, right? And keeping them a little bit more sticky and maybe getting a higher price point on the rentals.
Absolutely.
As well,
I mean, it's
I
like,
imagine.
you serve high-end food, you're going to get a higher price for that food.
Right.
But again, it's about economies of scale. My crew's already there. Why would they not just pull out the cabinets and put it in new cabinets? Why would I do carpet in the bedrooms when I could do a solid surface instead of taking that out every 3 or 4 years?
Time.
Plus, if I decided to utilize my dual exit strategy, if I put it up for sale and or for rent, I could show somebody, I don't need to sell this. I'm happy to own it. We have pride in our property. So it gives you leverage to negotiate both ways. Or you have a tenant that says, I'll give you $2,400 and you want $26,000. We'll have an offer at $350,000. So unless you come up to this, I'm going to sell it. So it's really important to always have multiple strategies to leverage to maximize whichever side you want to go.
Love that.
So you probably have an internal team that does all your property management instead of an outside company? Is that
Oh, yeah,
kind
we're
of-
vertically integrated. So I have an assistant
Yeah.
that does all the
Yeah.
rent rolls
Yeah.
and
Perfect.
utilities and all that stuff. A lot of moving parts.
Yes.
And on your Instagram, you go out there. I've seen you meet with tenants on your Instagram.
I love
the whole
meeting with
thing.
tenants.
Yeah.
I say, welcome to the Zack family. We're growing. But if you treat people like family, assuming like my mom or sister is moving in the house, and you have that same mindset of, here, mom, move in this house, I'm going to take care of you. Treat people the same way.
Yeah.
You're going to get all the referrals, the high rate of retention, versus a hedge fund. There's nothing wrong with those guys. In fact, there's articles about them having potentially a bill coming up. I'm sure you've seen it.
Yeah.
It gives them, 10 years. If it passed, to dispose of their homes, they're not allowed to buy, which is interesting. Go either way. But if you treat people extremely well, they're going to tell everyone about it, and you get those great referrals.
Excellent. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Well, thank you so much for
I know
joining us.
you have properties, right?
I do,
You
yeah,
Airbnbs
yeah.
in certain
Yep.
towns. Do
Yeah.
you own single family?
I did, yes. I did dispose of one I had a
Got it.
few years back, but
So where did you redeploy your money into?
my current house.
Got it. Did you 1031 exchange?
No,
Okay.
no. We just did a lot of remodeling.
Got
so
it. There you go. You enhanced
we
it.
put it into
Yeah.
our
There you
house.
go.
Yeah. It's a massive pull out of flooring and things like that you're talking about. So
Yeah. Good.
That's good. I made it a little more current than the house it is, which was like 17 years ago. So
very important. I agree. It adds the value.
I still have the arch, media niche and things that, were really popular at one point.
I think all that stuff comes back.
Yeah.
It ebbs and flows.
It does. Yeah, for sure.
Well, Zach, thank you so much for joining us. We appreciate it. And
appreciate you guys.
Running to you over at Talking Stick again, and we'll have to get some blackjack going over there.
Did you tell everyone we rekindled? I saw him at Talking Stick Casino. This guy's screaming. I said, who's this animal at the table? That's his voice, too. I didn't even need to see the back of him running. I just heard his big, profound voice. I'm like,
there you go.
There's Don Chikowski.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for joining us. So if you hang out with us a couple more minutes, we're going to check in with Market Master Mindy and take a look what's happening out there in our more traditional side of the real estate world.
The new year is a time for more than resolutions, but for big life changes. Looking at your goals, your dreams, what could be possible, now is a great time to take stock of what worked well in 2023, what you want to do more of in 2024, and where you want to do it all. It's clear that here in Arizona, we're continuing to attract new businesses, new families. People are coming here for the weather, the lifestyle, the jobs, which means we'll continue to need more houses. There's no shortage of predictions for the local real estate market, but what's at the top of the list continues to be a lack of inventory. In fact, we're starting 2024 with one of the lowest counts of listings under contract we have ever recorded for the start of a year. We measured about 5,500 homes last year after nearly doubling that in 2022. The good news is while demand is recovering from the hit on interest rates in 2023, our inventory has also suffered as people struggle to find the reason to give up their good rates. Interest rates have come down a whopping 2% in the last couple of months, which means we'll likely start to see more accepted contracts. We normally get a lot of new listings this time of year too, though. So while we'll be watching very closely to see whether a shift in demand or is it inventory that's going to be greater. The expectation is that prices will rise in 2024 as they did in 2023, but at a slower pace than during the frenzy, which means this might be the cheapest time to buy all year long. Some of the hot topics right now for our clients are how to access equity with a HELOC or HE loan, what the process is for buying before selling, if contingent offers are going to be accepted in this market, and how much equity did you actually make in 2023? First-time homebuyers are still winning with concessions and negotiation power as the market remains in balance, but I can feel the shift. And if they wait until the season is in full swing, it's likely that those will be the first things to go. While the tendency with New Year's resolutions is to make big changes in behavior, what we find is that the most sustainable change often comes with small incremental movements in habits. The same is true for our real estate market. As we start to chip away at this chronic supply issue, we're going to start to see some movement, and only time will tell how much our sales prices will be impacted, putting the pressure on getting started right now.
Mindy, thank you so much for your update, and that's our first update of 2024.
It's true.
Okay, guys. Well, I know Don and I and Fidelity, we are excited for this year.
Absolutely.
So let's see what we're looking at on the mortgage side. Amber Kavarik with Guild Mortgage, what is going on in the mortgage world?
Welcome to the new year. Hopefully you've set your business goals for 2024 and you've determined the required activity to hit those goals. Especially at this time of year, annual goals can feel overwhelming and seem so far away. Human tendency is when we have an annual goal, we tell ourselves that we have so much time to accomplish the goal that it's okay if we get somewhat of a slow start. We have plenty of time to make it up, right? That's a slippery slope and usually causes us to look up in October and realize that we have no shot of hitting the goals that we set for ourselves. So how do we avoid this struggle with goal setting? We break the big goal down into bite-sized chunks that are measured every week. My favorite way to do this is to determine from your big annual goal exactly how many leads or prospects do you need each week to hit that annual closing goal. So let's do some math together. If your annual goal is to help 24 families buy or sell real estate in 2024, then you would take that number times your lead to closing ratio. Now, side note, if you don't know your accurate lead to closing ratio, then I highly recommend that you make this your #1 focus this year. Because as soon as you know your true lead to closing percentage, all of your goal setting will become more accurate. And I believe that the more accurate you know your goals are, the more likely you will be to bust your tail to make them happen. The best way to figure out your true conversion is to go through and add up all of your leads from 2023. A lead is defined as anyone that you received name and contact information for, except with online leads, we don't count those until you have a conversation with them. Take that total number of leads and divide that by your number of closings, and that will tell you your true lead to closing conversion. If you didn't track your leads through 2023, I would make this year the priority year to track leads, and I would use the average closing conversion of 22%. So the math is 24 closings times 0.22 for your 22% conversion rate, or use your accurate one. That equals 109 leads. So with this math, you need 109 leads to hit your closing goal of 24 families helped by the end of the year. Now, I like to divide this even further and take the 109 divided by 50 weeks, assuming 2 weeks off in the year with no lead generation, and that equals 2.18 leads per week. You can round that down to 2 leads needed per week to hit your annual goal, and now you have a weekly metric to live and breathe by. This is how you base all of your activity. You don't close down the week until you've reached at least 2 new leads. If you implement this and stay hyper-focused on your number of leads, you will hit and likely exceed your goals for this year. So don't be okay with a slow start. Start getting the numbers of leads you need now and watch all of the other metrics fall into place. If you want help tracking your leads, shoot me a message. I'll send you my lead tracker form with instructions. As always, I'm available for all of your weekend pre-qualification needs. Thanks.
Amber, thank you so much. We appreciate your insight. We're so excited to be rolling through 2024, and we're going to have some big things happening this year.
Yeah,
so,
and I think we're not going to get free money this year from her, but we might get a little good news
little
throughout
less
the
expensive.
year, I think.
Yeah, a little less expensive money. So, excellent.
Yeah.
Well, thank you guys all for joining us. We're excited to be back every week through 2024 and make all this happen. Zach, thank you so much
Zach,
for taking the
Thanks
time.
for having me. Always
Yeah.
a pleasure with
Yeah.
you guys.
Yeah.
Let's go.
Appreciate it.
2024 is going to be big. Let's do this.
Yeah, let's go.
Happy New Year's, guys. Ciao.